Can we now proceed with the questions? I see Luciana has her hand up. So Luciana, do you want to ask a question?
Oh, good. Where are you and what is your question? And I want to be sure I could hear the question.
Can you unmute? I need to unmute if you can.
Yeah.
Michael, I think Luciana won't be able to.
Yeah,
but,
we've got a technician. We're just trying to get them. There's a group muting that's been applied by a technician. I'm just trying to contact the technician.
Okay. Is there someone else who's unmuted?
Me. Luciana, okay, now we can.
Okay. Yes, it's Xavier. Nice to meet you.
Yeah.
Luciana,
first of all, big honor. Thank you so much for this space. And all these spaces have been great. I wanted to ask you two quick questions. The first one was,
write them down. Number one.
Okay, the first one was, if we can get your address, we want to send you from Bolivia some products that you can taste, because you are the biggest influencer that we meet.
You mean to say if I give testimony that the Bolivian product you sent me is so great, it's worth everything? Well, I'll give you my address. You really want my address?
Yeah.
Oh, well, could I say, could you write to me and ask me for my address, so I don't make it so public, unless someone else starts asking. But my email is pkotler@aol.com. So write to me, and I'll remember your that first question of yours. What's your second question?
Okay, the second is, I work at a pharma industry like CVS and stuff, and we have two big brands, like the lead brand that is called PharmaCorp, that we have been 80 years, and we're trying to innovate every single time. And now we're starting a low-cost pharmacy, so this is kind of new for us. And so I wanted to ask you, in your experience about low-cost brands, what do you think are some key elements that we should bring? And have you seen any best practices in the pharma industry so that we can dig in?
Well, in the United States, we have two big competitors in pharma at the retail end of pharma. And one is CVS, and the other is Walgreens. Now, those are the giants. They're found in every city practically. Then occasionally we find something like Rite Aid, which is a pharmacy, but it's roughly at the same price level. So it doesn't match your question. You're saying you got an 80% position in your leading brand for pharmaceutical products at retail, and you may find that it would help you. Here's the interesting thing: if you develop a retail alternative that's people don't know it's connected with your major branding work, they might go to it because those who are of lower income want to save money, and that's how you have to position this second brand. And that means, if it's very successful, it's pulling sales away from your 80% market position. You're actually, I'm worried about that you don't want it to fail, of course. So if by great success, it means that people who might have only had no available way to get a lower price, they went 80%, a good percentage was going to buy from your main. So would you answer that for me? Does that not hurt your own brand if you're successful? Xavier?
Sorry. Okay. Actually, we have a 65% market share, but this 65. Brand has been, Yeah, this brand has been 80 years in the making. That's what I was trying to say. And right now, due to economic, macroeconomic reasons, we're starting to lose market share because, of course, since we
Someone
aim,
else came along that price is lower.
yes,
Is that
yes, yes.
correct?
So exactly
Why
that
don't you
that
buy?
is
Why don't
correct.
you buy them? Why don't you buy them?
That would be, that would be the best
Yeah,
choice, but
you may
actually,
not be
yeah,
allowed to do that. Okay, so you're really gonna you're talking about the launching of a lower priced pharma branding operation in order to compete with the one that's been taking some sales away from you because maybe they're pricing lower.
exactly. That is, and the economic shift that the country is taking is we're entering a crisis, so we don't want to sacrifice the premiumness of the first brand, which is service innovation, by competing with prices. That's why we want to build this other brand, so that the promise, the claim that you were saying, it has more of empathetic to this situation, and specifically to this target that is searching right now, not for great service, for innovation, but is hurting for price.
Yeah, I understand. A lot of things to consider, and we won't take too much time on this one type, but here, for example, is there a way for your leading brand, which has been losing a little share, to appeal to lower income buyers who are price sensitive by saying that anyone buying from you who can show certain credentials, you want to help those people with a special pricing arrangement, or for some major things that are the big pharma production consumption items. Can you show in some way that that your big operation of 65% market share should also be bringing in those who are more income price sensitive? Now, I assume you went through those alternatives, and there's no answer except to put out and create a competitor that is a low frill competitor. There'd be not much of that service that you're putting out in your 65% of your businesses. I think there's some risks here that that in fact, if you have a lot of low income buyers who were buying because there was no alternative for them but to buy from your business, a lot of them may switch to your new launch, and maybe the combination of the old and the new, and the loss of some share of the old, but gain of share from the new. If you could get some figures put together, imagining scenarios of outcome, and you find out that the totals you're selling and the profit from the mix that you're selling through the two stores, the good old one and then the new one you launched, is still better than just losing on maybe on a progressive basis, then launch that new business. Thank you for sharing that with us, because it's a typical problem of how you when you're losing share, what are the various things you could do to get back some attention and interest and customers? Very good question. Who else wants to ask?
So thank you very much. That was a great question. Very interesting. Javier, that was fantastic. Now we're going to go to Luciana. The floor is yours.
Okay, thanks. Hi, Professor Kotler. Very honored to meet you.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. It's Luciana.
Luciana from Italy.
Luciana. Good.
Luciana. I have a very high level question, which is what would be your best advice for a person like me, which is starting as a chief marketing officer?
Ooh, CMO.
Yeah,
Did they give you that title?
yeah.
And so for that, Luciano, you are managing what kind of business now or product?
The sector is the financial sector, and the focus is especially personal loan.
Is what Barcelona? I didn't hear
Personal
the
loan, when you finance people to buy something like cars or
Oh, you're a part of a financial system or banking
exactly,
system,
exactly.
and your job is to encourage people to come to your organization to get financed in the buying of a car. Well,
Yeah,
there's a lot of things you're going to be doing just to build up the demand for your service. Um, First of all, there's other banks where they could go. In fact, there are even now non-banks that people can go to and get loans and so on.
I know.
Now, the thing is, what's your argument for your loan policy that you may be one argument you might make is that you have given or you give more loans out for car purchases and so on than any other competitor, which may indicate that there's a lot more trust because you're in the business for a longer time. Now, if you were just new in the business, you got to say, well, we do it differently.
Yeah.
We are smarter about information that is needed to really intelligently loan money. There's more people who want loans than should get loans. So we have a system, and that system is like this. You might want to say that you have what is called an algorithm that you've perfected that will immediately tell someone who deserves a loan in 20 minutes. Wouldn't it be interesting if you say, we're not full of paperwork that you have to be busy doing and a lot of data you have to give to us to make a loan to you. We make loans in 20 minutes.
Yeah.
As long once we get to this amount of information that we need about you, it's yes or no. And of course, if you do have such a good algorithm, actually algorithms improve over time because you will still find out you made some bad loans, but you take the information you analyze why did your good algorithm miss some factor that prevented them from paying. So you're going to be the company with the best loan history. And so on. So those are things that come up. I love the new job you have, and you should be pretty excited about that.
Yeah.
I hope to. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Luciana. I love Italy from where you come. What city in Italy are you at?
I live in Milan, but
I love Milano.
yeah, but I'm born in the south of Italy, in Puglia. But both Milan, the north and Italy is everywhere is very, very beautiful place.
I know. It's a beautiful country with many wonderful histories and places. Yes, we'll have another question.
Right. Okay. Great. Thank you, Luciano, very much. And then could we have Becca Cabrera, you're next in line. I hope I said your name right. If we could have you unmuted. Hang on, we seem to having an unmuted. There we go. You're free to speak.
Thank you, Professor Kotler. Every time that I hear you, it's so amazing. I learned so much from you. So I have a question in regards of some information you just provided about this branding and what companies have done wrong in terms of putting brand that are too either too steep to maintain or not the right ones. So when you, in your experience, can you provide probably one or two cases of companies that has gone through the process of fixing or trying to improve their brand their brand negative when they start launching or using a brand that is not the correct one, how they can come back and reattract those customers?
Yes, very strong question about branding. By the way, for everyone's information, the master of branding is a professor named David Acker. And he has 5 different books on branding because new issues come up for him. He's a professor and at more or less in Seattle, the University of, but his name is Aker, and you should look up David Acker. And he is also one who shows that a brand should be managed along with other things that are managed in the company. Some companies have a brand, but they don't manage it. For example, someone in your company has to manage customers. They know all about your customers, customer management. Someone else is responsible for all your products. So they are the product manager, and they also responsible for developing some newer products. But we should have a third group, and that's called brand management. Now, actually, in big companies like Procter & Gamble, they have brand asset management teams. So let me give you how it's spelled. Brand asset, B-A-M, management T, BMATs, brand management, brand asset management teams. And you're talking now, so Procter & Gamble may have a team, a brand problem with some branding of maybe one of their soaps or dishwashers or something like that, and that it's not going anywhere, or the competitors are stronger. You have to collect, here's where marketing research, marketing research isn't dead. It's very much alive, and you have to run focus groups. You have to ask questions of people who have stopped using your brand. See, here's the thing. Do you want to drop the brand that isn't working well, but fix it? Or do you want to definitely just go ahead and replace the name with something sexier? That, but you made it clear that you're not thinking about that. You're thinking about how to get this formerly strong brand alive again. It's called rebirthing the brand in some way. You can't do it out of no knowledge. You've got to know where are customers switching away from. The problem is the brand is failing in 2 ways. It's some of the customers you had are switching away, and you're not attracting new customers. So first of all, what is the most important thing? Probably initially, save the customers you still have and make sure you've reminded them that they are using your brand and its virtue. And maybe you need to add new benefits to being a user of your brand. You remember how I said that if you sell Cadillac cars, you should also offer free service with the car. You'll wash it especially well when they bring the car in for some other service. So I'm wondering if there's that competitors either are winning on lower price against your brand, or they're winning on better benefits. And so I'm not in a position to advise without some information, which you should be collecting, about customers that you're losing and the difficulty of getting newer customers to start using your brand. It is true that when people get into brand habit, and brand choice is a habit, it's very hard to get them out of using even your brand or anyone else's brand until there's a bad experience. Maybe has your brand been a good experience for people? So somehow I would say map what your benefit mix is to that you're promising customers with your brand, compare it to the promises coming out of your competitors about why their brand is the best for them. And out of the comparison, you should be able to know much more about what steps you should take to strengthen the brand. And it's better to try to save an existing brand name than to replace it with a brand new name. Thank you.
Oh, that's a good. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you very much for that question. And now let's move on. I see Branimir has his hand up. Branimir, do you want to go ahead? And hopefully we have you unmuted.
Yes.
Yes. Very good.
Hopefully you can hear me well.
You can.
I can hear you very well. Nice to meet you.
Hello from Serbia. I do have two questions for you, straightforward. One is the topic that you presented today regarding the branding. What would be your advice? Because there is a lot of debates online and in the books and in the research materials regarding branding as one activity that is most likely a long game that marketers are taking and undertaking. And on the other side, we have like something that we call in these days like performance marketing or short game, something that brings in the fast cash for the companies. And it is
your branding would bring in the slow cash in the sense that you're building the brand and building the followers, and it's slower than many other performance measures like lowering the price, right?
Exactly.
So sometimes you're with your friends making a decision and you're saying, yes, it will cost us $1 million to strengthen the brand. We won't see the results for a while. Hey, some of your colleagues will say, let's do something else that's better, faster in performance. Yes. Okay. That issue continues always. And
how to approach it in general, because different business models, different businesses usually will take individual approach to the business. But do you have some in general approach to the issue? Because it will be always debate where to split the budget and how to split the budgets.
Yeah. All right. So let's say that the brand that you now have is, if it's growing on its own and doing well, there's no problem. In a sense, you don't have to say, give me another $1 million to build it up, because it's already going well. If it is flat and if it's losing, as we saw in the previous question, losing some people, then you can make a case for some money, and because you have to know where to put it and into what to put the money to make the brand work again. And then it goes back to all these reasons why some customers have stopped using your brand, and also that you haven't been reaching new people who could be interested in your brand. Okay, that's issue number one, which is a very good question but it depends on whether the brand is strong now, average, or slipping.
Yeah, or maybe a startup, something that needs
a startup brand is another whole problem. Yeah. Then you don't have a brand name, really.
Exactly. And then
you're trying to find a very. So you had two questions. The first one has to do with the brand.
The second one was outside of today's scope, but you said we can ask outside of the scope. I wanted to ask, do you maybe have some recommendations for enthusiastic about the political marketing, some authors, books, research materials that might be taken into consideration from your authority regarding political marketing?
Yes. I was tempted at one point to write a book on political marketing, but I gave up the idea when I thought how complicated it's going to be to get political, because then I would be asked as an expert on political marketing by both parties competing for my attention, and I better choose one party because they wouldn't trust me if I'm advising both, and therefore I didn't want to get into it. But here's the thing. The 4 Ps, or more than the 4 Ps, as some of you may have heard that I revised the marketing mix from 4 Ps to 7 components, which are the real 4 Ps plus service taken out separately from the product, and also with incentives taken out from just the price, because it's price plus incentives and so on. Okay, now there's a lot of money being spent by so many competitors for a political position, and it's money that gets on billboards, and it gets on soft media, social media. Boy, look, and here's the thing. Very often there is a clear leader in a contest for a political position. And if you're the clear leader, great. It's easy to tell you what to do to keep that leadership going. But most of the problem is that there may be other candidates who are not well known. And so their job is to appear, maybe at least keep the importance of political appearance events where it shouldn't be just give me more money for advertising. It may be give me more money to travel and drop in on cities that are a real issue for my party or for me, and help me become more dramatic as a presenter. In other words, the product is the candidate. The candidate, if the candidate doesn't have much of a personality, then it's really a waste to, there have been histories in Europe where there would be candidates no one ever saw, except the name. It was an embarrassment. They'd lose if they were seen, but the name was well known. Maybe they were older and well known from the history of the country, but it was important not to be too visible. Now the answer to your question is the question really is there any book to read on political marketing?
Author, some research, a source that you would recommend, basically.
Well, it's a good point you're making, because first of all, I remember one of my colleagues, not at Northwestern, but somewhere else, who did write a book on political marketing. If I can find it, try to look up a title like that. But now you're saying that there's probably a lot of articles that have already been written on the subject. I've never seen them researched and brought together as a set of readings. Like these are advices for how to help your particular candidate. I'd have gotten involved in some political politicians who were going to try to win the election, but every one is a different experience. I mean, there's so many things that's appropriate for that person to be. If you're going to launch that person, you're going to make the decision how often he or she should be seen, what suit they should wear, how they should comb their hair. So the product itself has to be better, make to look better, and then and on what events should they participate in, where the politician wants as many interviews as possible. Figures that every interview is an opportunity to be seen and heard. But the consultant wants to be sure that the interviewer is not an aggressive anti-person who's going to hurt the interviewer. You got to be very careful about choosing the right interviews and the events and so on. Then the whole big problem of a political candidate is fundraising. And fundraising is a problem I haven't talked about enough, because it's the marketing. That's marketing. How do you convince wealthy people that you have a cause which is so exciting that they should want to be part of the cause and give a lot of money to support that work? But we can take up fundraising at another point. Thank you for your questions from Serbia.
Thank you.
Yeah, Branimir, thank you very much. That's great. I want to take a question from the chat, an interesting one from Dr. Nahid Fawi, and actually there are some other people who I see Sophia has also said she'd like to see an answer to that. So Dr. Nahid Fawi says, I am a top fan of yours, Mr. Kotler, which is very nice. What gold advice can you give to a startup and MSMEs, mediums and small enterprises in African countries?
In
Africa.
How interesting. Of course, that's where there's a lot of opportunity, because there's a lot of need in the world, of course, but in African countries in particular. And a lot of the need is for simple solutions, not the latest found around the world. A need for how to control malaria better and kill the bugs, how to make the water supply healthier and not killing us, basically. You know, you get to study the work of Bill Gates in Africa, who was trying to meet so many needs for cleaner lives. You know, he saw kids dying before the age of 5 because of all the problems that come up with bad food or bad water. Now, so we're talking about a startup in Africa. First of all, I would like the startup to really concentrate on a human kind of problem rather than a problem of you're offering a better food or a better garment to wear. But it depends. I mean, maybe the market's going to be strong for even someone who's producing better clothing that's less expensive okay. So I wish that the person in Africa spots some meaningful problem to solve that a lot of people have. And then the solution is a matter of putting together a team. I don't trust it if it's one genius who's going to solve a big problem. If that genius has good ideas, there ought to be a natural group that comes together with that person, because they need to support their own lives too by raising some money for living to do the startup. And if they can find one good donor, that's enough to support and finance a team. But then the rest of it is, how do you describe your product and test the interest level in that product? Well, you can draw pictures of your product if it's pictorial, if you can picture it. If it's something to eat or wear, certainly you could. You want to simulate the experience as if the product already existed, define it well enough that it's describable in a focus group setting where people will come up with ideas of, first of all, saying they're not interested or they are very interested and why, and then how they would improve that before it is finalized for a launch. And much of the question should be about the demographics. Who is the market for such a product? What is it, women more than men that will respond to that? What age are going to respond to it more? What income levels will respond to it? So it's a joy to be part of a team that is interested in launching something new to solve an important problem, because there's so many questions that have to be asked. If the person really has such a brand new idea, maybe some ideas will fly very fast without much research because they're just so exciting. Even then you can be fooled. But if it's one that will take a lot of work to put into the mindset of your target market, that's another problem. But thank you for the question. I'd like to see Africa. Africa's a going to have a big future. I want to say this, share it with you, because many of you are multinational companies that have operations in different countries. And Africa will be a place where, of course, the costs of goods from Africa will be lower than if the quality's there and the cost is lower, then there will be more enterprises, just like China was the place of lower cost that didn't have quality initially, but it had lower cost. And China raised its quality, and now it's just one of the strongest countries in the world. So when it comes to Africa, it has a long way to go, but it has a strong future.
Great.
Well,
thank you.
Next question.
Let's have a couple more questions. We're actually running over time. So YLK. So we have our last two quick questions. YLK, can you unmute yourself, please? And sir, and thank you, and ask. Great.
Professor Kotler,
Yes.
Kotler, good evening. I am a teacher from Hyderabad, India.
Yes, I know Hyderabad.
Yeah, I started reading your Kotler Marketing Management from 4th edition onwards. I'm very glad to know today it is reached.
Don't tell me you read all editions up to the 16th edition.
Yes, I was a student. Actually, 2 questions for you, sir. One is how to brand a product like a brick, which is not to be seen in the finished product. For example, where the consumers will be relying totally upon the expert for the decision making. Majority of times, they will not be making the decision. They will be asking the mason or someone. So this is applicable.
Wait, let's stay with that question. You said something about how to launch a product that is not to be seen because it's an ingredient of some. Could you give me an illustration?
Brick.
Yeah, illustration is a brick.
Oh, a brick. That's right. All right. Okay. So, but you can make a claim about the quality of the brick and its long-lasting quality, etc. Or you can price it cheaper to get into the market with bricks.
Okay. The second question is, with the rise of artificial intelligence and machine learning, how marketers can use these technologies for consumer behavior to create a more personalized marketing campaigns.
So you're asking a question about how Chat GPT, or now known as generative AI, AI. You know, it's interesting. I'm busy writing a book now with V. Kumar, who's a very good marketer, genius, really. Called Transformational Marketing, and it has going to have 8 chapters. Chapter 1, AI and how it's going to affect marketing. Chapter 2, generative AI and how it will. In other words, a lot of companies have been into AI in different forms, like informing algorithms and so on. But along comes 2 years ago generative AI. So that's our second chapter. And then we're going to have a chapter on blockchains, a chapter on IoT, and so on. But so getting back to your question about Chat GPT or generative, that is going to be so important. I can't imagine a company that, except a startup, a new company, but every established company should have someone on its staff who has been following generative GPT, because that person can figure out ways in which some of the people working for the company can work faster or be replaced, because you don't need that number of people in copywriting. Everyone who knows that you can quickly get in 30 seconds by putting the right prompt question to the generative GPT that will generate a nice composition for your message to your customers in no time. So you've got to, every established company should. And by the way, when some students ask me what should they major in marketing, I say there's a lot of wonderful areas of marketing work, but the shortage is in those who can bring generative AI to that company in need of it. Okay, did I answer some of your questions? Good.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. We need to move
Thank you,
on to,
Kotler.
we're moving on. So can you just repeat the name of that book, please? Some of
Well,
the
it's not out yet. We're just writing it, but the book is going to be called Transformative Marketing. Transformative Marketing.
Excellent. So I think you've already sold about 10 copies from judging by the chat. Yeah.
Okay.
You don't want to buy.
Well, it's the first 3 or 4 chapters are finished, so it's still going to be not available until 25, probably 2025.
Okay. Transformative marketing. There we go. Great.
But by the way, if you're interested in general, there's another book I recommended in the past on this site by the CMO, the Chief Marketing Officer of the company, not Visa, but the other one.
MasterCard.
Yeah. And his book is wonderful about all of the new MarTech. MarTech is shorthand for marketing technologies that will describe a lot of these technologies anyways. Yeah.
Excellent. We need to wrap up soon. We'd like to ask for one last question. So Tor, can you hear me? Could you unmute yourself, please, and far away?
Oh, thank you very much. Pleasure to meet you, Mr. Kotler. I'm from Norway. I studied marketing at the Norwegian School of Marketing. And the pub was named after you, Kotler. I guess you remember it because it was in the early...
Wait. There was once a group of business people in Norway or somewhere, I think, that formed a club called the Kotler Club or something.
Yes, I studied at that.
You guys, how many members do you have? 2 or 3?
No, we still have this Kotler group, and we had a meeting just a month ago. So
wonderful.
You are our god.
Well, if I got to Norway, I definitely would meet you and your group, but it's not likely that I'll be doing that tomorrow. But I like Norway. Norway is a country I follow very carefully too for their ideas. Yeah. So what would be your question?
Yes, I have many questions, but I should, the last question was the same. But I'm thinking, how about technology and a new, as a branding is about creating good reputations around the company. And I have a startup, a very interesting startup called Trill Out Keyboard. And what we do is connecting this culture sector towards the charity sector to make the world better and reach the UN SDGs. And to do that, you need storytellers, and you find the storytellers in the culture sector. So we connect musicians with the charity organizations to collaborate to reach the goal. And that create new revenues for the bands, and it create new members for the organizations. So it's a win-win thing. And we digital this, building this platform. And so I'm thinking, when you build a brand and creating stories to build trust, and trust and good reputation is a good brand.
Sure.
Very. How do you then? Is it ChatGPT, to use ChatGPT as a tool? That could be very dangerous because you can find all kind of stuff that isn't relevant because it's a mirror to the internet, right? So that's my question. How you think about?
Well, I wanted to say that I'm going to congratulate the work you're trying to do to help musicians, artists, and other creatives get more support, because they're not yet well known. The individual is not well known, and is struggling to get some attention through storytelling done by him or done by others about him or her. And we know in marketing that storytelling is a very powerful force, but there's money there are costs, and you're setting up something to help raise money from charitable individuals to support that cause. That's a wonderful cause. We all know about the penniless artists and the penniless musicians struggling, and we need more art and civilization in our lives. So I wrote one book. I'm trying to remember the exact title, but I wanted to write the book for people who want to become well-known. Let me talk about that the next time we meet, because I can't, there may be some other things I've mentioned in that connection too. And so the next time we meet, and if there is a next time, it will be not branding, unless there may be more questions you have. It will be on maybe fundraising as a function of a lot of causes that we need to figure out where the money's going to come from. Okay, so Michael, I'm going to turn it back to you.
Right. Okay, guys, thank you very much. I'm being asked to wrap up, because we're actually technically only supposed to be here for an hour, already 16 minutes over. Thank you very much, Mr. Kotler, for being so patient. I have some technicians in my ear who saying I've got to wrap up, and we've got to get to the studio, and translators and people. So I've been pushing my luck, but there's so much genuine sort of interest and energy and enthusiasm and a desire to hear all your wonderful wisdom, Mr. Kotler, and to get answers to questions. And it's a great privilege for all of us to be able to listen to you.
And thank you, Michael. You've been very important and very helpful all these weeks and times.
Great. And we look forward to the next time with you, when that possibly in the new year. But I don't think we have another session before the new year. So happy Christmas and New Year.
Yeah, Christmas, happy holidays for everyone.
Indeed, happy holidays. Thank you to everybody, and a very happy New Year. And it's been a great session. We've already had 3 speakers. It's been fascinating. Our translators are quite exhausted, but everyone's feeling very inspired. So thank you very much. Thank you to all the students for the great questions. Now remember to check out online in your libraries. There'll be recordings. There'll be tasks coming into your emails, and all the other things that you can chase up. Okay, thank you all. Have a fantastic rest of the weekend. Thank you, sir, for enlightening us, and for a wonderful evening. Take care, and God bless you all. Bye.
Yeah, let's pray for peace.
Indeed.
Take care.